Generally, on the planet, we can classify ecosystems as two types. Either food-based, long-lived tree fungal systems, which is what a forest is, or grasslands. What we can show here is permaculture techniques being used to convert a grassland, a bacterial-based grassland, to a fungal land. And I stand right at the border between the two. Generally, the way we've done that here is using our A-frame. We've hand dug a swale across here, which captures the water that moves down the hill in a heavy rain and allows it to soak into the swale. By digging the swale, you can see we're a foot down here into the soil. We've taken the topsoil off here and placed it here. So straight away, we've got double the depth of topsoil here. Topsoil is one of the most precious resources on the planet that we want to look after in permaculture. Into that double depth topsoil and just below it, we've got more energy, more of that humus, more of that topsoil to grow our food. So into that we start to plant our food forest. The swale itself starts to capture the water and let the water seep into the soil and under that double depth of topsoil. So we start to create a fertility zone here. As that moisture is stored and spread deep within the soil, it is safe from evaporation. It becomes a little paradise for worms to move into. So as the climate dries out, because we've got a swale here, worms will move a great distance to come in under this swale to get that moisture and start working away to aerate the soil as they make their habitat and make their little reinforced worm tunnel holes through the soil. The more the worms and the microbes and all that organic life, the fungal system starts to spread through the soil, the softer the soil gets. There's a cycle in place so that next time it rains, the soil can take more water into those cavities and into those spaces and more fertility and more worms. Into this fungal system that is protected here with the pinto peanut beneath the swale, the next stage is we put in banana plants. Now these banana plants we've let grow. We haven't harvested them and kept them to grandmother, mother and daughter, because we're trying to create as much biomass and as much shade as quickly as we can. So we sit here on a very hot day in the middle of the driest, in fact at the end of the driest time of the year, and I'm quite comfortable here sitting in the shade of these bananas. That each one of these bananas holds significant amounts of water. As a bunch, we have a lot of water pulled up out of the soil and stored safe in the biomass. These bananas have started to create a canopy. The leaves are now all starting to touch, and within the fungal system we've now got quick growing shade. We can get a banana up like this in 12 to 18 months and start to have shade. So stage 3, we're now ready to come in between these bananas and plant our fruit trees. And I'll show you another system which is 3 or 4 years older than this, where the fruit trees have come up and become the new dominant species and the bananas are starting to die back. So we just finished showing a system where we've hand dug a swale into a grassed slope, covered that swale in pinto peanut to convert it from bacterial to fungal, put in bananas to get some fast-track fungal biomass and some initial shade. Between those bananas, we then planted fruit trees. What I want to show you here is a system that's 3 years older, where here's black sapote that you can see is flowering. So we've got advanced trees. In fact, there's a fruit. So the trees that have been planted between the bananas beneath the swale where we're harvesting water, here's a native citrus tree. Up in the citrus tree beneath these sharp spikes, in amongst the spikes, is a nest, which is perfect habitat. I'd hate to put my hand in there through all those spikes. So we've got trees that are fruiting, we've got birds moving in. Here's some of our initial bananas here, which were the initial tree we put in to get shade. You can see here's a mango tree that is now growing up beyond the banana, and the banana will start to struggle and slowly die out. Even as it does, we'll continue to get bananas. You can see on the soil here, we've got the pinto peanut. It is starting to die out a little bit because the shade of the established fruit tree is stopping the light get through. And instead of a flora pinto, we're getting leaf litter. We're getting all the mango leaves. So we're starting to get a self-supporting forest where there's enough biomass in the established trees to cover the soil and keep it protected. And the tree itself is starting to absorb the energy of the sun and the process of turning it to biomass and fruit and protecting the soil. So the initial planting of pinto peanut and bananas was to cover the soil and turn it fungal so we could put the fruit trees in. Here you can see a system 3 years later. We've still got the remains of our swale, although it's filled up with a lot of topsoil. You can see if I dig into that swale, even on this hot day, that's very moist, very wet, very productive system. And then through here we've got another mango that is just absolutely thriving. So in this system now, where the fruit trees are starting to come up amongst the pinto peanut and the bananas that we put in to establish a nursery. Stage one was just to establish a nursery for the fruit trees. The fruit trees are now growing up out of that pinto peanut fungal based ground cover within the shade of the banana trees and are starting to establish themselves, and now starting to produce their own leaf litter. And you can see here our chickens, our free range chickens, are now comfortably moving within the shade of this forest and digging through the leaf litter looking for worms, and in return depositing nice little nitrogen packages. This is the natural habitat for the chickens, to be living in a forest environment. We've created a chicken paradise here, and by making it a nice zone for the chickens are very happy to hang out here and are fertilising the trees in the forest for us naturally, as in a forest, every single day. There's no more weeding needed here. There's no fertilising needed here. The system is supporting itself. We have got the beginnings of canopy closure. We are starting to get a self-sustaining food forest established. Beautiful.